Montana Territory, 1883. The storm had been building since noon. Clara Weston knew Montana Territory winters the way anyone knows them after long enough. Not by forecast, but by the light in the morning, and the way the horses moved in the afternoon, and the specific quality of the silence that arrived an hour before everything went wrong. She had put extra wood by the door at 3 o'clock. By 4, the snow was horizontal. She was not expecting anyone. Nobody who knew the Montana Territory was out in a storm like this. The knock came at 7:30. She opened the door with the lamp in one hand and found a young man on her porch holding his left arm at the angle of someone whose shoulder has decided to be somewhere it is not supposed to be, snow-covered to the point of being indistinguishable from the landscape, looking at her with the expression of a man who has used every resource available and has arrived here as the last remaining option. "Ma'am," he said. His voice was steady. His teeth were not. She looked at him for a moment. She looked past him at the storm. She stepped back from the door. "Come in," she said. "Mind the step." He minded the step. He came in. He stood in her kitchen, dripping snowmelt onto the floor she had swept that morning, and looked at her with dark eyes that were trying to be coherent and not entirely succeeding. "My horse went down in the ravine south of here. I walked." "How far?" 2 miles, maybe 3. She set the lamp on the table. She looked at his shoulder. She looked at his color, which was not good. "Sit," she said. He sat. She put the kettle on, got the blanket from the chest, came back and looked at his shoulder with the practical eye of a woman who had set 2 dislocated shoulders in her life and knew what she was looking at. "This is going to hurt." "It already hurts." "More than this." He looked at her. She looked back. "All right," he said. She said it. He did not make a sound, which told her something about him. She got the kettle and made the tea and put it in his hands. "What's your name?" "Daniel Marsh." "Clara Weston. You can stay until the storm passes." He looked at the window, at the white nothing outside. "Thank you," he said. He drank the tea. She watched him and thought, he will be gone in 2 days when the road clears. She believed this completely. She was wrong. She had made a good life of it. This was true, and she knew it. The Weston Ranch, 60 acres on the north side of the valley, the creek running clean through the east pasture, the woodlot her husband James had planted their first year, was a real operation, and she ran it with the competence of a woman who had been doing so for 4 years alone. James had died in the winter of 1879. Not alone. That was the part Clara did not talk about. The fever came in December. She had been 7 months along. What happened in January took both of them. The child had not had a name. She had learned from her mother, who had lost 2, that you did not name them until you were sure. She had not been sure, and then there had been nothing to name. She had stayed. The ranch required it, and she required the ranch, and over 4 years the requiring had become something else, not just survival, but genuine investment. The care of someone who has decided that what she is building matters. She had also, gradually, built the silence. Not an empty silence, a furnished one. The sound of the creek in the morning. The rhythm of work that filled the hours cleanly. The evenings with her books. The satisfaction of accounts that balanced, and fences that held, and a woodlot that was coming into its own. She did not think of herself as lonely. She thought of herself as settled. These were different things, and she did not examine the difference too closely, because examining it too closely led to a place she had sealed off in January of 1879 and had not reopened. She was 38 years old, and she had built something real. Then Daniel Marsh knocked on her door in a blizzard with a dislocated shoulder, and she let him in because what else do you do? And the kitchen that had been quiet for 4 years had someone else in it. The storm lasted 3 days. Daniel Marsh was a reasonable houseguest for a man who had arrived half frozen with a separated shoulder in a blizzard. He was not underfoot. He was not demanding. He ate what she put in front of him with the uncomplicated gratitude of someone who understands the value of not being cold and hungry. On the first day, he slept most of it. On the second day, he was at the kitchen table when she came in from the morning feeding, warming his hands on a coffee cup he had made himself. The coffee had been ready, and he had poured it rather than wait to be served. She noted this without comment. "How's the shoulder?" "Stiff. Better than yesterday." "You'll need to rest it another week before it's reliable." He looked at the window. The storm was still going. "I was supposed to be in Oregon by February." "The road will clear in 3 days, 4 at the outside." He nodded. He drank his coffee. She went to the accounts. On the third day, he appeared at the barn door while she was doing the morning feed and offered to help with one good arm. She looked at him for a moment. She showed him where things went. He was not inefficient. He paid attention and did not need to be shown twice. At supper the third evening, the storm began to quiet. By the time the dishes were done, the Montana Territory night was the clear cold of after a blizzard, the stars enormous overhead. "Road should be passable day after tomorrow," Clara said. "Maybe tomorrow afternoon." "Good." He was at the table with one of her books open in front of him. "What are you reading?" He held it up. James's copy of a survey of Montana Territory geology. Not what most people picked up. "It's interesting. The formation of the valley. My husband bought it the first year. He was interested in the land." "Was he a rancher?" "He became one." She went back to looking at the road. "The account books are on the shelf if you want something more exciting." He almost smiled. She almost did too. She went to bed and lay in the dark and told herself, 2 more days. He did not leave on the second day after the storm. He left on the morning of that day, packed his things, ate the breakfast she made, thanked her with the directness of someone who means a thing rather than performs it. She walked him to the gate. He went to find his horse. The horse was dead. She saw him come back up the road 2 hours later and knew from his posture before he reached the gate. He told her plainly the horse had broken a leg in the ravine fall and had not survived the night. She received it the same way. "I can sell you one of mine." "I appreciate that. I'll need to send to the bank in Billings for the money. It'll take 2 weeks." The Montana Territory. February was around them, cold, clear, the kind of cold that made everything very simple. 2 weeks then. She turned and went back to the house. In the kitchen, she put the kettle on. "The room's still made up. There's work here if you want something to do while you wait. Fair wages." "Mrs. Weston." "Clara." He looked at her. "I don't want to impose." "You're not imposing. The fence on the south side needs attention, and I have one good arm available and one that's not reliable for another week." She poured the coffee. She set one in front of him. She sat across from him. 2 weeks, he said. 2 weeks, she said. He wrapped both hands around the cup. Outside, the Montana Territory winter held the ranch in the quiet of after a blizzard. "Your husband's geology book," Daniel said. "Can I keep reading it?" "It's been on the shelf for 4 years. It's not going anywhere." He picked it up. She opened the accounts. The kitchen that had been quiet for 4 years had someone in it for the second week running, and Clara Weston told herself this was a practical arrangement and believed approximately 60% of it. 2 weeks became 3 because the bank in Billings was slow. 3 became 4 because a late storm came through and added 2 feet of snow and made the South Road impassable again. 4 became the rest of February because by then neither of them was counting. He worked. This was not nothing. Daniel Marsh was 28 years old and had been working with his hands since he was 14, and he worked with the focused efficiency of someone who understands that good work is its own kind of respect for the person who needs it done. The south fence went up correctly. The wood pile was split and stacked in the pattern that would keep it dry through spring. The barn roof section she had been watching with concern was addressed before she mentioned it. He also cooked on Thursdays. This had started accidentally. She had been at the far pasture longer than expected and came home to find him at the stove. He had made a passable venison stew and set the table for two and said nothing about either. She sat down and ate it. Thursday became his night without discussion. The evenings were what changed things. After supper, they sat by the fire, she with her book, he with the geology survey, and then the natural history of the valley, and then whatever was on the shelf. And neither of them talked much, but the silence had changed quality from the silence of one person to the silence of two. One evening in the third week, she looked up from her book and he was watching her. Not in a way that required addressing, simply looking, the way you look at something when you are not aware you are looking. He looked back at his book when she looked up. She looked back at hers. But something that had been very still in Clara Weston moved slightly, and she noticed it. And she did not examine it, because examining it led to the sealed room, but she noticed it. Before we go on, I want to ask you something different today. Most of you listening right now are somewhere in the middle of something. Maybe you're driving. Maybe you're cooking or folding laundry or sitting on a porch watching the evening come in. That's what Forever on the Frontier is for. If this story is keeping you company today, leave a like. It means more than you know. And tell me in the comments, what are you doing right now while you listen? I genuinely want to know. Now let's get back, because the letter from Oregon has just arrived. It came on a Thursday in late February. The mail rider from Billings stopped at the gate, and she brought in 3 letters, 2 for the accounts, 1 addressed to Daniel Marsh in care of the Weston Ranch. Someone knew he was here. He had told someone, which meant he had been planning for the possibility of staying longer than 2 weeks. She left it on the table. He found it when he came in from the barn. She was at the stove, and she watched him pick it up and read it, and watched his face do the thing faces do when a piece of paper is asking you to make a decision you are not ready to make. He set it down. Oregon, she said, not a question. The job is still available. They want to know by March. She turned back to the stove. That's good news. Yes. He did not sound like a man receiving good news. She put supper on the table. They ate in the silence that is different from the comfortable evening silence, heavier, with something unnamed in it. Halfway through supper, the south pasture fence, the section on the east end. What about it? The posts are soft. They'll need resetting before the spring thaw, or the whole section will list. She looked at him across the table. I know. I've been watching it. It'll take a week to do right, he said. She held his gaze. He held hers. When would you need to leave for Oregon? Middle of March at the latest. The south fence will be done by then if you start Monday. He looked at his plate. He looked at her. Clara, he said. She picked up her fork. Eat your supper. The fence needs doing, and March is 3 weeks away, and there's no sense discussing anything before the fence is done. He picked up his fork. He ate. But the letter stayed on the table between them for the rest of the evening, and neither of them moved it. She had not cried since 1879. This was not something she was proud of. It was simply true. Grief had moved through her in the first year, and she had let it. And then it had become something else, something that lived in the sealed room, and she had not gone back in. She lay awake on a Thursday night in February, and she went back in. Not because she had decided to, because the letter had knocked something loose. She thought about James, dead 4 years, his geology book now annotated in 2 different hands, his woodlot old enough now to be genuinely useful. She thought about him with the honesty she only allowed herself in the dark, about what had been good and what had been hard, and what the winter of 1879 had taken. She thought about the child who had not had a name. She had thought about this child every day for 4 years and had never once said so to anyone. Then she thought about Daniel Marsh at the supper table with a letter from Oregon on the table between them, and about what she had said, "Eat your supper, the fence needs doing," and about what she had not said. She was 38 years old. She had been telling herself she was settled. She lay in the dark and was honest with herself the way she was honest with the accounts, completely, without softening the numbers. She was not settled. She was stopped. Those were different things, and she had been confusing them for 4 years. Stopped was what happened when something broke you badly enough that moving forward felt like moving toward the thing that had broken you. Settled was a choice. Stopped was not a choice. It was fear dressed as a decision. She got up. She went to the kitchen. She made tea and sat at the table where Daniel's letter was still sitting, and she read it, because she had not read it, and she should. The job was in a logging operation outside Portland. Well paid. Good work. The letter said they needed an answer by the 15th of March. She put it back where she had found it. She drank her tea. She sat in the kitchen that had been quiet for 4 years and thought about what she was going to do about the fact that she did not want it to be quiet again. She did not say it easily. She had been Clara Weston for 38 years, and Eleanor, her mother, had raised her to know the difference between strength and pride, and to know that the two could look identical from the outside while costing entirely different amounts. She knew this. She had known it since January of 1879. She had still been confusing them. What broke the confusion was not romantic. It was the south fence. They were resetting the posts the first week of March, working the east end together, and she was on the 3rd post when the ground gave way slightly under her boot and she lost her grip, and the post driver came down wrong, and she felt the specific sharp shock in her wrist of something that was not broken, but was not right either. She said nothing. She picked up the driver with her other hand. Daniel was 4 posts down and did not see it. He worked back toward her at the end of the section and looked at the post she had set, and looked at her, and then looked at her wrist. "Let me see it." "It's fine." He held out his hand. She looked at it. She looked at her wrist. She put her wrist in his hand. He turned it carefully, the way she had handled his shoulder in February, practically, without making more of it than it was. "Not broken," he said. "You should wrap it tonight." "I know." He held her wrist for a moment longer than the assessment required. She looked at their hands. She looked at him. "Daniel," she said, "I need to say something, and I need to say it before I decide not to." He waited, the way he always waited, without filling the space. "I've been stopped for 4 years," she said, "telling myself it was being settled. And," she looked at the fence post, "I don't want the south fence to be the last thing we build together." She looked at him directly. "I don't know what that means for Oregon. I'm not asking you to decide anything. I'm telling you what's true because I decided to stop keeping it." She did not say anything for a long moment. Then, "My husband made that, the winter before he died." A pause. "I was 7 months along. What happened afterward?" She stopped. "I've never said this out loud." She looked at the cradle. "I didn't name him. My mother lost 2, and she taught me not to name them until you were sure." She was quiet. "I was not sure. And then there was nothing to name." Daniel stood beside her in the doorway. He looked at the cradle. He did not say the wrong thing, which was the only right thing available. After a long moment, "It's beautiful work." "He was good with his hands," she said. She did not close the door immediately. She stood in the doorway with the lamp and looked at the room that had been sealed for 4 years, at the chair and the cradle and the cracked runner, and she let herself look at it, which was something she had not done. Then she said, "The runner on the left side is cracked." "I noticed," he said. I wasn't going to say anything. "There's wood in the barn from the same batch he used," she said. "I kept it." He looked at her. "If you want it whole," he said. "Yes," she said. "I do." She closed the door. She turned. He was looking at her with the dark eyes that had been looking at things directly since February. She held the lamp between them. "Now you know," she said. "Yes," he said. "Now you know what you're staying for," she said. He held her gaze. "Yes," he said. "Clara." She looked at him. He reached out and took the lamp from her hand and set it on the hall table, and took both her hands instead. She held them. The Montana Territory Sunday night was around them, and the sealed room was not sealed anymore. Spring came to the Montana Territory in April, with the tentative quality of something checking whether it is welcome. The creek ran high with snowmelt. The east pasture came green first, the way it always did. The woodlot put out new growth at the tips of the branches, the specific green that comes before full leaf and is more hopeful than the leaf itself. Daniel fixed the cradle runner in the first week of April. He did it on a Tuesday while she was at the far pasture, and when she came home, it was done and back in the room, and he said nothing about it. And she said nothing about it. And they had supper, and the evening was the comfortable silence of two people who have said what needed saying. They married in September, in the Willow Creek Church on a Saturday, with the Montana Territory autumn outside, the mountains going the first colors, the air carrying the clarity of the season change. Reverend Cole, the neighbors, the people of Willow Creek who had been paying attention since February. Clara wore dark blue, the color of the Montana Territory sky in the hour before dark, the color of something real. Daniel stood at the altar and watched her walk toward him, and thought about a woman who had set his shoulder without flinching and said, "You can stay until the storm passes," with the reserve of someone being very careful about what she let herself want. She walked toward him and thought about a letter on a table addressed to Portland, and a man who had sent it declining a job before asking her anything. The vows were simple. In the church hall afterward, Clara stood with a cup in her hands and looked at the room, at the people of Willow Creek, at Daniel talking to Pete Dawson from the next property over with the ease of a man who has decided where he belongs. Martha Greer appeared at her elbow. "You look well," Martha said. "I am well," Clara said. Martha looked at Daniel. "He stayed." "He stayed," Clara said. Martha squeezed her hand once and moved on. Clara looked at the room. She thought about a February blizzard and a knock at the door, and a man who had used every resource available and arrived here as the last remaining option. She thought about the sealed room and the cradle with the fixed runner and a child who had not had a name. She thought about James's geology book with 2 sets of annotations, a conversation between 2 men who had never been in the same room. Daniel came through the room toward her. He stopped beside her. He looked at what she was looking at. "All right?" "Yes," she said. He took her hand. She held it. Outside the Montana Territory, September was beginning, quietly, to become something else. The years moved the way good years do. Daniel learned the Weston Ranch the way he learned everything, with complete attention, until it was as much his as anyone's. He was good with his hands, which the ranch required, and he brought to the land the same focused competence he had brought to the south fence posts in February. Clara ran the operation the way she had always run it, with authority and precision, and ran it alongside him, which was different from running it with someone who managed it for her, and the difference was not small. They were a good partnership, not because they were the same. She was 38 and deliberate and had 4 years of managing alone behind her. He was 28 and paid attention and had 16 years of managing without his mother behind him. What they shared was the willingness to be honest with each other about what they knew and what they didn't. The woodlot James had planted matured through the late 1880s. Daniel tended it with the care James had intended for it. He had never met James Weston, but he knew him through the geology book and the woodlot and the cradle with the repaired runner and the way Clara talked about him in the evenings, which was with the honesty of someone who has stopped sealing things off. On an October evening in 1887, 4 years after a blizzard and a knock at the door, they sat on the porch of the Weston Ranch and watched the Montana Territory autumn do what it does. The mountains were going gold. The creek was audible from the porch. The woodlot was in full color, the gold and amber of the trees James had planted in 1879, the year everything broke. The year he had planted them knowing he would not see them like this. He would have liked to see it, Daniel said. Yes, Clara said. He looked at the trees for a long moment. The child, he said. In 1879. She was still. I know you said he didn't have a name, but I wondered if you had thought of one, even if you didn't say it. Clara looked at the woodlot, at the trees James had planted, at the gold of them in the October evening. Thomas, she said. It was the first time she had said it out loud. Thomas James. She held her breath for a moment after saying it. Then she let it out. Daniel reached over and took her hand. She held it. The Montana Territory autumn held the ranch in the gold and amber of the evening. The woodlot was brilliant. The creek ran. Clara Weston had opened the last sealed room, and the name was in the air now, where it belonged. And it was, by every measure she had ever used, and several she had only just learned, exactly right. Clara Weston had built a good life out of silence. She had done this deliberately, after the winter of 1879 took everything at once. Because the ranch required it, and because she required the ranch, and because some griefs are too large to survive if you look at them directly, and you have to look sideways for a while until you are ready. She had been looking sideways for 4 years. Then a blizzard came, and a young man knocked on her door with a dislocated shoulder, and she let him in, because what else do you do? And he stayed because his horse was dead, and then because the bank in Billings was slow, and then because the south fence needed resetting, and then because he had found somewhere he wanted to stay. And Clara let him. Not immediately, not without cost. She let him in the way someone opens a sealed room, carefully, with full awareness of what is inside, because you have decided the sealing has cost more than the opening. She showed him the cradle. She said the name out loud. She let the woodlot be tended by someone who had never met the man who planted it. That is what healing looks like. Not forgetting, not replacing, letting the sealed rooms become rooms again. She was stopped, not settled. Those are different things. It is worth knowing the difference. A blizzard knocked on her door in February. She let it in. And the rest was spring. May God bless each and every one of you who listened today. Until next time, keep riding.